supposed to be like a studio, like, studio room to do like content and work on music, obviously.
How much of Oasis was made in that room you're in?
So towards the end, so in the beginning when we started, we did a lot of the verses in this studio called the Baron Collective, and it's this kind of like the sister studio of the main studio, Baron Studios. And in that studio, you're able to rent out a room for like a 4 hour block to an all day block. And I think the all day block's like 150, which is not bad. It's pretty good. And but that's without an engineer, so you can bring in your own engineer or record yourself. And they have, I think, two, three, four studios like that. And then they have the premium studios where you record with an engineer. And so when we booked there, we did all day sessions where there were about 9 hours, I think. So we were there from like 12 to 12 all day. So I want to say like a good 80% of the album was recorded in that studio. And then like a few of the last verses I recorded here with the exact same microphone we used over there. And I sent it off to Apollo, which he mixed and mastered, sound design, produced on the whole album, produced on a couple, engineered and mixed the whole album, mastered it himself. And so I would send him the verses. I want to say for Skywalker, Oasis, and I think that was about it. I sent him the verses, and because he goes to school in Savannah, I would send him the audio or the vocals for the verses, and he mixed and mastered them over there. So I mean, like two verses basically. I'll say producers. I get hit up by a lot of different producers. Most recently, now after the album dropped, because of the little attention that it's grabbing a hold of, or the momentum that it's kind of grabbing. A lot of different producers reached out, and some just starting out, some been doing it for a few months or a year or whatever. I'll only get on something if I truly like in my soul feel it, or like really like can connect with it, because I don't want to just
Yeah.
I could just like lay a verse on something, be like, okay, cool, here, but then I kind of feel like about it. So I used to engineer myself a lot when I started making music. I mixed and mastered everything. I mixed and mastered a whole album myself. It was called the Kai. I actually got it tatted on me. It was one of like the first, or the second tattoo I got. Um, and I produced like 90% of it myself as well. It's not out there anywhere because I was using it. I uploaded it through TuneCore, and TuneCore you have to pay like a $60 yearly fee, and I just didn't keep up with it, so it got like taken down, which is fine because like from there to now there's a lot of progression.
Mhm.
And then a few other songs after, I had my uh, good friend, but he's also an artist, and we're under on the same independent label or brand, Evil Ways Entertainment, and he learned how to like mix and master, and he started mixing and mastering himself, and he mixed and mastered his whole last album on Pro Tools. So he kind of we started off on GarageBand, then he moved to Pro Tools. So he like really kicked it into gear and like learned and sat and studied it. With Apollo, he actually like had just picked it up like 3 months prior to us recording the album. So it was really like him learning how to mix and master vocals along the way. He produced for a good amount of years already, but mixing and mastering was something he was looking to dabble in. And this was like, he told me this is a perfect opportunity for me to kind of learn more and how to mix and master vocals and how to cater to certain vocals, because obviously everybody's vocals are different, so everybody needs different settings or just leveling and stuff like that. Some people's vocals are softer, so they need a little bit more umph to it or compression.
Mhm.
Or some people, their vocals are very strong, so they don't really need much. So it really just depends on the person. But yeah, going into the Oasis album, he had like 3 months experience of just mixing and mastering. So along the way, he started to like learn, and he's actually going to school for it. He just got his certification for Atmos or Pro Tools or something. So
I want
he
to kind of
just
like dissect what you just said right now.
Mhm,
Going back, you were talking about progression. And so you have 3 studio albums now,
mhm.
Bad Habits, Goodfella, and then now Oasis. And like, how has that journey been, like releasing those 3 albums and other music before that too? And now with like your newest project, Oasis, how does that feel?
Um, it definitely feels great because when I started, so Bad Habits was like the first professional studio recorded album. And that was kind of like the start of the journey of finding or meeting all the producers now in Oasis. It started off with Insane or Dave. He produced Skywalker and he produced on the outro. He also did the DJ scratches on Rare Condition towards the end of the vocals. And so just going into that album, and it was really just me going on YouTube and finding beats that I kind of connected with or sat with. And that one too took me a good minute, about 6, 8 months, I think, to get done. Um, just because of paying for the studio time, saving up for that. At the time, I was single, so I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids or anything, so it was just me working and saving aside, money for that. So I would go to Baron Studios. I recorded with Jason. I Dream in Stereo is his Instagram handle, and he's actually recorded for Don Tolliver. So before Don Tolliver kind of blew up and everything, he recorded all his music there with Jason. So he already had kind of a reputation, not only him, but like a bunch of artists that kind of, catapulted in their careers and stuff. So he's a very like well-known, respected engineer in the city. And after Bad Habits, like I said, I met Insane. That kind of put me in the realm of uh, Vig. So with Vig, he's produced obviously on Vinyl Days. He did Theme of the People, the sample I believe on Bobby Tarantino 3. Like I said, he was on Vinyl Days. He did one for College Park, but I think Logic put it out as like a little animated video where I don't know if you've seen it, where he smokes the weed and he kind of goes into like this 10th dimension. So that's Vig and JRB. So before that though, we I was just scrolling through Instagram and I found a beat just randomly. I guess he had promoted it, on Instagram and stuff. So I kind of just started diving through his profile. And then from there, I just hit him up. I played him Bad Habits and we kind of just kicked it for like, or connected. We texted for like, I don't know, a good few hours that night to like, we stayed up to like 3, 4 in the morning, just kind of texting back and forth and all through Instagram. So we hit it off pretty like quick. We became pretty cool really fast.
Mm.
And then after that, I told him, look, I'm looking to work on another album, but I want to do more boom bap stuff, very more hip hop, raw hip hop. And I didn't even have a name for the album. From Bad Habits to Goodfella, it was a lot of just kind of sitting back and like, going through personal things, a breakup. So like I was very like just kind of down and out of it. So that was a lot of material to write about. And not just only the breakup, but just like, financial situation, and stuff like that. So I just kind of let myself, you know, sit down and write whatever I felt. And, he liked it a lot. I sent him a couple songs and stuff and we kind of just deconstructed a little bit and he kind of produced and catered to the verses and stuff. So, I think he had about like 6 or 5 on that album and the others were like through I believe Dave, this other dude named Dilly got it bumping. And then from there, from Vig, I kind of found the whole camp that they have, which is Yukio Records, and that's like 90 Myth, Jacko, Drizzly, Vig, and Apollo. Um, and from there, it was just kind of like a gold mine of producers, because they all have their different sounds, but they all kind of um, have their own theme, so to say. Like 90s, a very gritty, boom bap, raw hip hop producer. Vig is very versatile. Dave is kind of the same, but a little bit of trap influence as well. Myth is very cinematic and very, boom bap as well, but very, very cinematic type of producer. Apollo is just, he's kind of versatile as well. He can do boom bap, trap, and different kinds of sounds. Um, so the progression was like, writing, I was just kind of writing a lot all the time, all the time. And I felt myself kind of maturing in a way, but also growing. And it seemed like the beats as well, the production was also maturing in a sense. Um, so yeah, I think it was just a lot of I think I had to mature a lot. Oh, geez. Computer. Uh, come on, there it goes. Yeah, I had to mature a lot to get to this point, to this album. So I think maturity is the biggest thing. I was 21, I think, when I released that album, and then I'm 24 now. So I mean, it's what, yeah, a few years. So
Do you see in those 3 years up until now, like the progression in your writing and like lyrics?
yeah, definitely. And I see it, but also like Vig himself has told me too. He's like, man, you've grown a lot. Like your pen has matured. The vocabulary or the way that you say things or kind of set things up have they've matured a lot. And Vig is someone I trust a lot when it comes to transparency, and I trust all these
Mm-hmm.
guys for sure. Especially Apollo, we had to get really close, in the studio to make this album, and I told him going in, I want to be very transparent with everybody and no ill intentions or anything, but the only way to make this album the best it can be is if we're transparent with each other and if we're honest. If something sucks or doesn't sound right, let me know, or I could, be confident enough to let you know, hey, I don't really like this. Can we switch this up? But definitely, and my mom too, like she's for sure like one of the first people like I'll send something to, and she'll let me know straight up, like, nah, this sucks, or like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
dope. And she's a big hip hop head, so I trust her opinion a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool that you have that relationship with her.
Yeah,
Who are some rappers she's really into?
man. So I mean, she grew up. She was in Jersey when she was a teenager. She graduated in '95, so she was around like Pac, Biggie, Mobb Deep, Too Short, and a lot of the female rappers too, like Salt and Pepper. Um, Top of my head, I'm blanking, but she was like, and it wasn't just hip hop, but it was a lot of like punk rock music and a lot of rock and Spanish music. I'm Hispanic, I'm Salvadorian, so a lot of like cumbia, bachata music was around the house. But hip hop, like, man, her thing was always like Biggie, Pac, and just kind of stayed right there. And Eminem, a lot of Dre, Snoop. Like I said, Mobb Deep, Tribe Called Quest was a big one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably some of the ones.
So you're definitely exposed to all of that, liking hip hop as well and rap, which is
Yeah,
really cool.
yeah, for sure. It was always around the
Yeah.
house. Yeah, always.
So I want to like know a little more about like your being independent
Mhm.
and having your label Evil Ways Entertainment. You said with your friend, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if you can just talk about that, like how that kind of started
Mhm.
and like your guys' like plans and goals with that too.
Yeah, for sure. So it actually originated with my uncle in 2007, I want to say. He was doing a lot of mixtapes and stuff for just like how they did back in the day, where they would get all like the hottest songs and singles of the time, and they would just create like this mixtape. And so it started off as that. And when I started making music or started recording, I went up to him because he was the only person I thought would that could give me like a start or like kind of lead me in the right path to start recording music. Um, so I went up to him and I told him, look, I want to make music, and from there he just kind of mentored me and still does too to this day to kind of lead me on the right way on how to equipment or what to how to move as an artist and how to present myself as an artist, the business side of things. So he started the whole company or the whole brand. And then after a while, obviously, like he got older, he had kids, was with someone for a while, so he kind of got busy with life. He's I mean, don't get me wrong, like he picked it up along the way here and there, but just not as much as he was doing it before he had kids and everything. Um, so after a while, it was just really me kind of running the name behind me. Anytime I dropped anything, I would put, Evil Ways Entertainment, presented by Evil Ways Entertainment. And then me and Antoino, we met, I want to say the end of 2017 going into 2018. He just found me through Instagram. He found me through Instagram. We just, same thing. He was one of those persons where we started texting and we hit it off immediately. Like we became really good friends really quick. At the time, I was living in a mobile home and with my parents and my family. And he would come down from Katy. And Katy from me at the time, it was about an hour drive. So he would make that hour drive every weekend, and we would just kind of lock ourselves in my room and just work on music all the time. And he was running under a brand as well that he created. I think it was called TME, the Movement Entertainment or something. And we just kind of like were always working together, always kicking it, and not just music, but just hanging out as friends. So that kind of created like it made the music more genuine. And so after a while, we just kind of sat down and like, what are we doing? Like we're working all the time. We're always together. We're always featuring on each other's albums or singles. We should just kind of come together and, just add you to the roster or become part of the team. And that was
Mhm.
it. That was, I want to say 2018, 2019-ish. And so we've been running under the same brand or label since then. And as far as like goals and stuff, we obviously envision ourselves being, along the names of like Dreamville and TDE and, Bobby Boy Records and stuff like that. So that's kind of the goal, to build this brand up to um, turn it into an official independent label. And as of now, we are LLC, so we are like a company, so to say.
Mhm.
We just obviously we don't have staffing or nothing like that. It's just really us, myself, him, my uncle, and this guy named Carl. He kind of started to manage me in a way too, as far as like merch and setting up shows and stuff. So it's really just us four pushing it, So, but I'd say the main goal is yeah, just getting our name out there, the brand, spreading the brand, and one day being as big as TDE and being able to look at right now at TDE and Dreamville and be like, oh, I wish I was on that roster. We want to give that feeling to people, to other
Yeah.
artists, along the way. So
Do you have like a specific message that you're trying to put out there, like through your music and your name?
yeah, I think the biggest thing going into this, a lot of people told me no. A lot of the world told me no. A lot of closed doors, So I think the biggest thing is just perseverance. Keep going. I was told no over and over and over. Your voice is this, or you're not, whatever enough to be a rapper, so to say, or whatever, or your image or this or that. And I never saw them as like a stopping point or like oh man, like it was just kind of a kink in the armor. It was more of a hurdle to get over.
Hmm.
So I think the biggest thing is yeah, perseverance, man. Just keep pushing. The world's always going to tell you no 100 times and give them 500 times to say yes.
I like that, but I was just it's because like the label is called Evil Ways. Like why Evil Ways? Like
Yeah,
it's funny,
yeah, no,
not in a
yeah,
bad way at all.
yeah, no. I think the name too, like a little backstory on the name. It's basically taking all the negative stuff in life, right? All the negative, bullshit and people tell you no, this and that, da da da, and taking all that negativity and using it to your advantage for a
Hmm.
good purpose, to persevere, to keep pushing. At the end of this album, collab album or official Evil Ways album, um, it's called Pangea. And at the very end, I wanted my uncle to say a speech. So he kind of talks about that. He says, no matter how much the world tells you no, you can't, um, just show them I will. And I did, So that was a collab album between me and Antoino. We were just working all the time, 24/7. So we were like, let's just make an album together. Let's make the official Evil Ways album, kind of on some Dreamville Dreamers type shit, Um, and that was, yeah, man, that was pretty much the start of that. So,
So with Oasis, it just came out recently, and I saw that you're posting about the documentary that's coming out for Oasis. Like, what can we expect from that documentary?
um, a lot of BTS of us in the studio kind of figuring things out. The amount of tries for verses that took forever to get right. Not only the, pronunciation, but also the energy, Apollo was very big on that. We wanted, every verse you hear on the album took 7, 10, 15 takes. And not so to say because they were bad, but because, he really wanted to capture the energy for each song. and I'm glad he did because it shows, and I'm proud to say that it shows, the outcome. Um, but yeah, a lot of BTS, a lot of us in the studio, um, the listening party that we held for a few people from Instagram and stuff, interviews from people on the album who worked on the album, the producers, Jose himself has a little section. Um, so yeah, just kind of the whole process, the year process from day one to all the way towards the end.
Does it show any footage of Jose like creating the album cover? Because I love the album cover so
Yeah,
much, and I think like an album cover can like make or break an album,
yeah,
like for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I think what we're actually gonna do is I believe on the software that he uses, he could do like a time lapse type of thing. But he sent me a lot of the progression photos of him, creating the album art. And
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, man, he went through like uh, 20, 30 different renditions of the album cover himself. And then he really showed me a few, but we were like very, like you said, it could make or break the album, so it played a very big role for us, and it was very important to us to get it right, and we kind of were like, let's not force it. We're just gonna know when we know it's the one. It was very different to start off than the initial idea that I gave him, and then he just kind of ran with it and kind of incorporated all different aspects of different variations that he created and kind of morphed it into one, and then it became what it became. So it's, yeah, we're definitely going to show that because it took, I mean, from us 2, 3 months in creating the album, I reached out to him and we connected through a mutual friend, actually Lines of Logic. Um, so he kind of set us up, and he was actually very like uh, held back or like kind of hesitating to work on the album cover because he was like, I don't know this guy, I don't know, like I'm kind of swamped on work. And Lines of Logic or Garrett, he was very like, persistent. He was like, man, you gotta work with him. You gotta fuck with this kid. You gotta trust me. And he tells me, he's like, I'm glad that Garrett did because it formed a friendship along the way, and it formed, I think for years to come, more cover arts and more work together, collaboration. So
I like what was like a big inspiration to Oasis, and like kind of like what were you listening to like that wasn't your music to get
yeah,
inspired by?
believe it or not, man, a lot of punk rock. It's funny to say
Really?
because yeah, a lot of punk rock. A lot of older punk rock from like the '70s, though, like the Ramones, Sex
Okay.
Pistols, the New York Dolls,
Hmm.
Television. A lot of people that came out of like CBGB. I don't know if you know of that little club kind of thing in New York. It's like shut down. It's turned into a museum now. But a lot of like the punk rock like grandfathers started there, so
Yeah.
I tapped into a lot of those just for like melodies and just kind of like sonically, I loved it. But a lot of as well, it shows obviously Logic. A lot of Incredible True Story was in rotation. The off season by JCole for like the more gritty side of the album was very very much involved. Um, and yeah, man, just really just between punk rock, Logic, and Cole, um, it was all kind of in.
That's so funny. It's like you saying that punk rock, Logic, and Cole.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
know.
like I get Logic and J Cole, but like punk rock is so different, and like
Yeah,
that's really cool that you're like rotating those bands because I know all those bands. I didn't know the club you were talking about.
yeah,
That's now a museum, so I'm definitely gonna look into that.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. The Ramones
But
actually
that's funny.
started there, man. Like when they first did their show and stuff, I heard they kind of. I watched a lot of music documentaries on like all of these artists and stuff. So
Yeah,
they like stormed off on their first set ever, and then like came back, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?" And they were all like in these leather jackets, ripped jeans, and Converse. So they were like, it was kind of like a fucking uniform, and they were just so like, "Who are these guys?" And then they became who they became. I consider them the grandfathers of punk rock, man. Like they created that fast paced 2 minutes, songs, that a lot of people
yeah.
emulated years to come. Yeah.
Are there any particular songs on Oasis that like hold a special place in your heart?
Yeah. Two. I mean the whole album does, but two specifically jump out at me.
Yeah.
Dreams, which is track 6. That one was I was riding to work one day and I was just tired of it. I was just tired of the 9 to 5 life. I was over it. It was just one of those days, you know, it was feeling doubtful. Is music gonna work? Should I quit? Should I not? Excuse me, should I, keep going? If I quit now, will I regret it in 10 years? So I mean, the song opens up with the verse, writing raps on my way to work, I'm too concerned. And I literally was driving, typing on my phone, at every red light and just writing the whole verse. Got to work, knocked out some work, and continued writing the verse. Um, and then towards the end, Jose actually sent me like this 6 minute, 7 minute long voice memo message. And I had sent him a few of the songs off the album early, and I think it was IDK or Days Away. I'm not too sure. One of those resonated with him a lot. Kind of brought him to tears, which was pretty, cool, or not cool, but like whoa, like I didn't think it would move him that way. At the end of that one, I was walking in the house with my daughter, my older. She's 4, and I don't know, just off the fly, like I just pulled out my phone and seeing if I could capture anything, in a moment. And I just asked her, can you say Oasis? And she said Oasis. And I'm like, okay, cool. This will kind of tie into the concept, where are we going? She's like, we're going to Oasis. And so I knew it was going to be on the album somewhere, but I just didn't know, where. But I knew I wanted it to be on the album. I sent it to Apollo, and Dreams was definitely one of the last songs we recorded. It wasn't going to be on the album. I had just had a demo on my phone I recorded at the house, and I played it for them in the studio, and it was just kind of a look between myself, Apollo, Insane, and Moses, which is he's done all of like the BTS of the documentary and photos and stuff in the studio, along with Saint and my sister. And we kind of just all looked at each other like, no, like this needs to be on the album, and we recorded it right then and there. Wrote the second verse that day, and he was like, "Yo, like we should slap the Jose message, kind of pick a part that's very meaningful, and slap in that voice memo with you and your daughter." And funny enough, on that song, she actually has royalties. So whatever this album does, I set up an account for her to collect royalties, and just kind of give her a startup or something in the bank. So that was for sure one of the ones. And the outro was the next one. That one for sure hit home. Recording the verses, they were very personal, very, talking to myself in the mirror, just, wanting a better life for my daughters, my family, my immediate family, and my parents and everybody. And just the knot the whole time recording both verses for sure. So it was a very emotional song to record, and it just kind of captures the whole meaning of Oasis. I'd say on the album.
What hobbies or like interests do you have outside of music?
Man, I collect pops, Funko Pops. I have a whole like I don't know if you can see, but behind me there's a whole like bookshelf, and I just have like a
Yeah.
bunch of different pops and stuff from artists, from characters that I like, from movies and stuff, and like animes and stuff. That and comic book collecting. I have a pretty decent amount of comic books. I actually have two that are graded. They're on the wall, but you can't really see them. I have the Spider-Man 300, the 8-bit version. I have that one graded. I think it's a 9.8, so it's almost a perfect mint. And then I have 1988. I want to say it's Ninja Turtles How to Draw. So that's pretty cool. It's over
That's
here.
dope.
And that's the time when they were all like just one solid color. They were all red, so they didn't have like
Wow.
character names or anything. So that one's pretty cool. And I just have a lot of Lucy's from like the 80s and 90s and 70s and stuff that are not graded. They just kind of have them in sleeves and stuff. So really like collecting comic books, the whole like geek culture stuff. I'm very very much into. And I try to incorporate that too into music. So like Skywalker, that was one of the ones where I was like, yo, there's a crazy title. Let's just do some Star Wars like trap sounding. Like, I don't know, like I imagine like Luke and Han in the cockpit just jamming this and like flying through space and stuff. So yeah, I'd say collecting those, and other than that, man, it's just music 24/7, really.
Do you have a specific area or location that you write, or is it just like you were talking about the story earlier, writing dreams on the way to work, going to like the stoplights. Like, do you have like the room you're in right now? Like, do you write most of your raps in there, or where is that?
Yeah, I'd say majority is written here, but a lot, man, is like just out and about, like normal days, like after work, if we go out to eat or to shop, with the wife and kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I know my wife's sometimes like talking to me, and I'm like on my phone like writing a verse or like writing a bar that just popped in my head, and she's like, "Are you listening to me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I hear you." So it's very random. Just sometimes I could be just chilling on the couch, and I just hear I'm watching a movie, and like a bar will pop in, or just kind of watching my kids play and stuff, or just kind of being in the moment of life itself, and just kind of taking inspiration from that. Yeah, so I'd say, I mean, 90% is definitely written in this room, kind of like, the safe space, or where I can just kind of, lock myself at night after the family's asleep, and just kind of let the pen run, and let my mind just wander and just create.
Well, thanks for doing this, man. Like, this was
Oh,
awesome. People can find you on all streaming platforms with your music at Legacy. I'll link everything in the bio.
yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It was fun. This is one for the books
Yeah,
for sure.
dude. Definitely.
Yeah.